Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here Thursday, June 5th. Going to run you all through everything we saw at OTA number 10 for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Next week, they're getting into mandatory minicamp. You saw several moves over the last 24, 48 hours for the Jaguars, bringing in some veterans they wanted to add to the competition. So exciting stuff there. Liam Cohen talked a little bit about that after the practice today. Brian Thomas Jr. also spoke with the media. So we're going to dive into all that. First off, the Jaguars started the practice inside. They then had the defense go outside, the offense stay inside for several periods, and then moved everybody outside. I'm not sure what the whole reasoning behind that was, but it was a little bit of a clunky, strange, just organizational thing there. I really have no clue what the deal was, but just a little, behind the scenes. But Travis Hunter, there was some speculation. Maybe it's like, oh, is this the day that the media is going to get to see Travis Hunter practicing in a white jersey, which would mean he's on defense, right? But no. That was not the case. Travis Hunter was in teal, was practicing with the offense today. So I'm not sure why the practice started out a little strange organizationally, but it did. So peek behind the curtain there for y'all. Travis Hunter was wearing teal, was with the offense. I think he continues to look really good. I mean, his body control, his hands. I know y'all all saw that highlight clip of him on the defensive side of the ball, making one of the best catches you'll ever see, defensive plays and catches. I've been talking about Travis Hunter having the best hands I've ever seen for a very long time, and he does not disappoint with those hands. He continues to really impress. I think that the more time on task, the more comfortable he looks in this offense. And you saw a lot of energy from him out there today. Pretty cool. I thought Brian Thomas Jr. both had really big days of practice. And this was a fairly chill practice, not a lot of high intensity periods, but there was a lot of red zone, which obviously is going to be an emphasis for the Jaguars and to make sure that they're able to score once they get in scoring position, something they struggled to do during the Doug Peterson era as a head coach and I was going to say offensive play caller, but I digress, right? He wasn't really the offensive play caller towards the end. A lot of red zone today. A lot of good work in the red zone. I thought this was another pretty balanced practice overall. Again, Travis Hunter scoring touchdowns, Brian Thomas Jr. scoring touchdowns, looking really good. You did see Anton Harrison back. If you've been paying attention earlier this week when we were out there at OTA number 7, Anton Harrison was not there. He was under the weather, not feeling well, according to head coach Liam Cohen. He was back out there. And you continue to see some rotation at right tackle, right? You see Anton Harrison out there. You see Chuma Edoga out there. There's competition. It looks like there's competition. It does. And just talking about some of the different things that stood out to me today, LaQuint Allen's hands stand out amongst the rest of the running backs. His route running prowess, his just comfortability in that area of the game. Saw Tootin didn't drop a ball today, but juggled a ball a little bit. You saw Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby both not be able to haul in some not perfect passes, but passes they got their hands on. LaQuint Allen continues to impress in that regard, and you saw at Syracuse, pass protection, pass catching, running the football. LaQuint Allen, I've said it a lot, I think he's going to have a role on this football team. You need somebody who can pass protect, who can catch passes out of the backfield. I think he's going to be that guy. Talking about Brenton Strange, he continues to be heavily featured in the offense. You see him a ton catching passes. And there was one that was a heater today that bounced off maybe his face mask. I would need to see the replay, which of course we are not privy to out here. But Brenton Strange, he looks ready in my mind to be not the number one target in the offense, not the number two target in the offense, but to be in that range of 3 to 4 in this offense in terms of targets per week. I think he's going to be third or fourth in the pecking order, and I think he's going to be able to handle that pretty well. I think De'Ami Brown continues to play, and not his best practice overall, but continued to make plays. There was a couple plays I thought he left on the field. Combs, the rookie undrafted free agent linebacker, number 50, who I don't know a ton about, but he was able to get a nice pass breakup in red zone. Yeah, Branson Combs, the linebacker, he had a nice pass breakup in the red zone. And speaking of numbers in the 50s, DeJuan Smoot right now is wearing 58. I imagine, as long as he's able to keep a roster spot down the road, that number will change. He came in late, so there wasn't a lot of numbers available. And then Dennis Gardeck, who came in as well as a free agent, veteran free agent here this week, is wearing 57. So you got 57 for Gardeck, 58 for Smoot. You have Trenton Irwin, another veteran free agent who comes in wearing wide receiver, wearing number 83. Talked about all those guys a little bit, and Liam Cohen talked about them as well. We'll get to that here soon, but getting through the rest of this practice, defensive front was getting after it a little bit early on in practice. I thought when there was, it's hard to judge when there's no pads and you don't really know how to gauge the physicality and the violence and all that type of stuff. But you did see Devon Hamilton making a really nice play, Jordan Lewis making a nice play in the backfield as well. So those were a couple of highlights. Robert Hainsey, I don't know what he's dealing with, but he wasn't out there a ton. He was on the field. He did have his helmet, but you saw Luke Fortner out there a good bit today. Brian Thomas Jr., he cooked Buster a couple times, and I think Buster Brown has had a really nice offseason so far, but Brian Thomas Jr. versus Buster Brown is just a mismatch physically. It's a huge mismatch. Buster Brown did get a pass breakup today, though, so that was nice to see from him. It was not covering Brian Thomas Jr., but I think he's definitely cemented himself as someone who's competing for reps on the outside. You had Liam Cohen talk about, like last week or the week before, how they want to be a vision zone defense, and I think Buster Brown fits into that. I've talked about that a good bit. I think Tyson Campbell and Travis Hunter do as well, Jordan Lewis. You saw Eli Penkall, who is the Duke receiver, rookie receiver, undrafted free agent, have a really nice diving grab. That was pretty cool to see from him. Somebody who very productive at Duke, impressive size, athleticism. The testing numbers were off the charts. So it was nice to see him make a nice play. Cam Little, they did have a nice little kicking session, special teams field goal, and he was typical Cam Little, on the money, very smooth, very precise. This is a rookie who made 93% of his kicks last year. You're continuing to see that confidence. DeAndre Prince was able to get interception in red zone. You haven't heard a lot about DeAndre Prince or seen him make a ton of plays so far, but that's somebody you don't want to forget about because he has a lot of experience in his back pocket, collegiately, got some experience last year, has a lot of athleticism and skill. So somebody who's competing for the back of the roster as well, who was drafted by the team last year. So that pretty much does it for the big standout performances and moments of practice. Again, Liam Cohen spoke after the practice about bringing in Trent Irwin. They were able to talk to Zach Taylor and the guys up there in Cincinnati about what he brings. And obviously, Irwin's had some big moments against the Jaguars. He has special teams experience, punt return. He is a veteran receiver who I think will be able to compete for like wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 6. Don't know how many they're going to end up keeping, but somebody who will compete for the back of the roster at wide receiver behind your top 4 guys who are Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, and has a lot of experience. Talked about Dennis Gardeck when he was on staff with the Rams, Liam Cohen. They played Gardeck and the Cardinals twice a year. He was under that game wrecker category that they would make sure to talk about their talk to their guys, their players, about these guys. You can't let them wreck the game. At first, it started out on special teams, but then also as a pass rusher who can bring a lot of juice. So he's somebody they were excited to be able to bring in. Gardeck is coming off a torn ACL in 2024, his second torn ACL of his career, but very productive pass rusher when he's on the field. I think Liam Cohen called him a special teams demon. I've seen people refer to him as the barbarian. He's got long hair. He's got the tattoos. He's got the work ethic, the attitude, but also a really good person off the field from what we have been able to glean. Brings in that intangibly richness. And timing wise, I speculated that it was probably to be able to get these guys in here before minicamp, these veterans, and get them acclimated into minicamp, mandatory minicamp, and then have that break and then be able to get into the playbook and kind of try to be ready for not be ready for training camp. So Gardeck talked about Smoot as well. Liam Cohen did. DeJuan Smoot. There's a lot of guys in the building that still know DeJuan Smoot. The Jaguars' new strength and conditioning coach, who came from Buffalo, spoke very highly of him in the weight room, on the practice field, his energy, his effort. We talked about what I think he can bring at this point in his career. So very good. And then you also have Liam Cohen talking about Trevor Lawrence, saying he thinks he's at a place where he's operating the offense very well at this point, which is good place to be in at this point in the offseason. And then that they've just continuing to work on the lower body and the footwork, and that he's making a lot of progress. But every scheme, every system, even every play, it has nuances in the footwork and the timing and all that stuff. So they're just continuing to develop that, continuing to work that, and they feel really good about where Trevor Lawrence is. You also heard from Brian Thomas Jr. Didn't say a whole lot, which isn't surprising. He's not the most, talkative, outgoing guy, right? At least with the media. But he did talk about Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter's been picking his brain, always asking questions, always asking, why are we doing this? How does this affect this? Like, why are we doing this against this look? And just trying to soak up as much knowledge as he can from Brian Thomas Jr. And he said, the reason is Travis Hunter wants to be the best. I want to be the best. We both want to be the best. And Brian Thomas Jr. is doing everything he can to help Travis Hunter on board quickly. But BTJ is also, he's also certainly learning a new offense, and he's a young player too. So I think De'Ami Brown coming in and can help both of those guys as a veteran. And Parker Washington's been around here a little bit. So good overall practice. You're going to see updates from a lot of the media members with the coaches roundtable later this afternoon. I will not be there due to my schedule, but that's definitely something we'll be able to comment on later as well. Getting to a lot of the media people will get to meet and talk to the new coaching staff quite a bit, some of the assistant coaches and all that. So that'll be good to get some information from that. But that'll do it here. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.